Hello, this is Damir for the Droid Effect, and this is a review of the Toshiba Excite Pro, the first 10-inch Tegra 4 tablet on the market. Okay, let's start with a quick unboxing. Let's take a look at the device itself. At the bottom we have nothing. On the left hand side, I hope you can see it, we have the headphone jack, the volume rocker with a pretty nice tactile feedback, the port for the charging. Under this we have micro USB, micro HDMI and a micro SD card slot. This is a little bit flimsy, and even after opening and closing it for a few times it's gotten slightly loose. They should have thought of a better solution here, but I think it should get the job done. At the top we can see a power button and two microphones. On the right hand side we have the holes for the lanyard. If we take a look at the back, here is the 8 megapixel camera with the LED flash. And down at the bottom we have the stereo speakers. I will talk about those later. The back itself has a nice texturized and grippy finish. The sides have a matte one, but also very grippy. If we take a look at the front, you could maybe think the bezels are a bit huge, but as you can see here, the balance did pretty good in both directions. That's not a problem. The thickness is 10.5 millimeters. And the weight is 630 grams. That's a bit lighter than the iPad, but I still think it's a way too much, because the device is only made out of plastic and the battery itself isn't as big as on the iPad. But otherwise the device is built very sturdy, has a good feel, nothing to really complain about here except the weight. Okay, that's it for the hardware part. Let's take a quick look at the specifications. I will put a detailed list up here, but only the main ones for now. We have a Nvidia Tegra 4 chipset, 2 GB of RAM, a display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600, same as the Nexus 10, an 8 megapixel rear facing camera with an LED flash, a 1.3 megapixel front facing camera, a battery with a size of 4230 and a weight of 632 grams. Let's talk about the display, one of the most important parts of any tablet. I won't be able to show you how good the display really is on the video, and that's why I won't even try it. But let me tell you this, the sharpness is really outstanding, easily on par with the Nexus 10, nothing to complain here at all. It has one major advantage though, if you tilt the device you won't get this blue tint or hue like on the Nexus 10. That's a huge plus for me. The blacks are very good, maybe not the very best on the market, but definitely do a very good job, no problem here at all. If you turn the device up to 100%, you should also get a pretty nice outdoor visibility. Indoors of course no problem, it's easily high enough. I use my device mostly at about 40 or 50% brightness. I would definitely prefer this display over the one of the Nexus 10, mostly because of two reasons. The first one is the lack of the blue hue while tilting. That's a thing I just can't stand. And the second thing is the better color reproduction. Colors just seem a bit more saturated and more vivid. Okay, let's talk about the speakers for a second. I'd say the speakers are maybe one of the bigger weaknesses of this tablet. The sound isn't really full, not rich. The volume itself isn't really satisfying. I'd say it's not even enough. We can take a look at it here.
What's up guys, the 2013 Nexus 7 is here, but does Google and ASUS have the right formula to...
And the problem is that the speakers are at the bottom back, so they are backfiring. Mostly you hold your device like this and get it to reflect. You will see it will increase in the volume.
Success they had with the original Nexus 7. Let's find out. Let's get started. The Nexus 7 has always been one of my favorite tablets.
You can see
sleek body and
it's definitely louder, but it's not better in any way. And if we take a look at the audio enhancement options, there is a bunch of them here, and you really need them, because if you turn them off the sound gets really horrible. DTS white surround sound is one thing I would turn off though. You can't even see it. Now you can see it. That's I think I would really disable, because the sound sounds very far away and completely going away from you. Really no satisfying experience. Like I said, one of the bigger weaknesses of this device. It gets the job done, but really not really satisfying. If you watch a lot of movies, It could even be a problem because of the volume itself, because movies tend to have a lower volume anyways. But if you mostly watch YouTube videos and such stuff, it will get the job done and it shouldn't make a problem. For games though, it's, I would say, still not enough for a great experience. You will get the sound of the game, but not really anything else. The next big important part would be the performance. Of course, everybody wants to know how well the Nvidia Tegra 4 is really performing. I'm not really a big fan of benchmark scores, but I still wanted to show you some of them. Here is the Sun Spider. We get about 700 milliseconds. In Antutu I mostly got around 27,000 to 28,000, and in Quadrant I got low 12,000 scores up to higher 12,000 scores. Now let's check some real life performance. Just to show you nothing else is running, let's check Chrome and load Engadget. Still loading. Okay, now it's finished. And now check this. This isn't smooth scrolling, nor is it nice rendering. I'd even say it's horrible. You can see, not really smooth, and it's still re-rendering all the time even though the page is loaded. If you check some article, it's loading, it's still loading. Now it's finished. And that's not smooth. You've seen how bad Chrome performs, but let's check a WebKit based browser like, let's say, Naked Browser, and load the same page. It's already finished loading, I didn't even see when. And now let's check the scrolling. This is a huge difference. This is 60 frames per second buttery smooth scrolling. And this is how all the sites look like. We can check that again. That's a big difference in loading time as well. Now let's check. You see, this is smooth, not like Chrome. I really don't know what's wrong with Chrome, but all the other WebKit based browsers run perfect. You can also take the stock browser from Android, which is also available here on this device, and you will get a way more pleasant browsing experience like with Chrome. If you really need Chrome on this device, you have to live with this performance. I really don't know what else to say. I am not impressed at all. We can check another one, but it won't change anything. You can see it's stuttering all the time. It's really doing something on its own, but definitely nothing good. Okay, so much for the browsing performance. You have seen the browsing performance, but let's check some different apps and how they run. This is Chrome. You can see really fine scrolling, absolutely smooth, really no problem. We can open a page in the internal browser. Still loading. Okay, you can see still completely smooth. Let's check Robert, another Twitter client. It's the same. Nothing to complain here. That's buttery smooth. Doesn't have to be any better. We can also check Google Plus. Google Plus isn't that smooth because it has all these cards, and because that just isn't, but it's really good. Can't really complain. It runs nice. It has to load all the sites. But otherwise it's nice. In general, the performance of this device with the Nvidia Tegra 4 is really pretty satisfying. It's fast, it's smooth, it performs well. The lag is really down to a minimum. I expected way more from a Tegra device, but you really can't see much lag. I won't say there's no lag because I don't believe in no lag, but it's pretty close to that. You have some apps that stutter sometimes, maybe a little bit, but this is I think mostly because of the app's optimization itself. But apps, native apps or any others, really run very good. What I'm going to show you now is definitely the biggest issue of this device. It's the heat and the throttling that's caused by it. The performance gets drastically reduced extremely. I will show you some benchmarks later, but now let's check the game. Now the device is cooled down. As you can see, it's pretty well playable, no problem. It's smooth. I don't know how well you can see it over the display, but it's definitely smooth. About 25 to 30 frames. No problem here at all. Let's pause this quick. It's 13:18. I'm going to play for a few minutes now and show you how it looks later. Okay, it's 13:27. This means not even 10 minutes have passed of playing. Now let's check the game again. I think it's pretty obvious. The whole game runs in some kind of slow motion. Frames are dropped. It's completely not playable anymore. So if you consider to buy this tablet and want to play Need for Speed Most Wanted, don't do it. It's just not possible. I don't know what's really wrong with that game, but the throttling is extreme. And the longer you play, if you could play it this way, the worse it gets. Okay, that's it for this game. I have to say though, Need for Speed Most Wanted seems to be the game that has the biggest impact because of this throttling. Most other games seem to have more than enough power, even throttled, to play smoothly. I will show you this now. Yeah, that just happened. Complete overheating. Didn't really think that would happen, but it did. Okay, let's talk about the software. This tablet is running Android version 4.2.1, and the good thing is it's a completely unskinned version of Android. You have those two, maybe some other things, a few pre-installed apps, but otherwise it's completely stock, as you can see here. Nothing really changed, they let it as it is. But one thing I want to mention, this tablet doesn't have any root support, and I highly doubt it will ever get any. Nor do I know how Toshiba thinks about upgrading this tablet to a higher version like 4.3 or maybe even 5.0. And another thing you have to consider, I don't think you will get any XDA support for custom ROMs or anything like that, so please keep that in mind. Okay, now looking at the battery. I got about 5.5 hours of on-screen time of video, with a complete time of 15 hours. In general use I got 4.5, so let's say about an hour or less. In general the battery though is decent. It's nothing groundbreaking or something, but it should do the job and should at least hold for 1 day, maybe even 2 of moderate use. The battery itself needs about 4 hours to charge from 0 to 100%. On one side you get an amazing display and top-notch performance with a very close to stock experience. On the other side though, you get speakers below average, a pretty heavy and bulky device, and then there's also the huge heat issue I've already talked about in detail, and mostly because of that I can't really recommend you to buy this tablet, even if you are okay with the weight and the speakers. Only maybe and only if you are not into gaming at all, but I don't think that's the point into buying such a powerful device. Okay, this was my review of the Toshiba Excite Pro. If you have any further questions, just leave me a comment, and if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe my channel. And now I have to go and get to the chopper.